Hello and welcome to a Thursday edition of the Managing Madrid podcast. It is October 7th. It is just after 6 o'clock in Spain and just after noon here on the east coast of North America. And we're about to go through your Real Madrid questions. And of course, the timing of the mailbag, the call for questions, coincided with Kylian Mbappe's mother talking to the press. And so that's a whole thing that I didn't see like 2 days ago. I didn't think this was going to be the subject, but I kind of feel, Lucas, that it feels like the summer. It feels like a summer Mbappe mailbag. Though, every week in the summertime, we were just talking about Mbappe the whole time. So doesn't it kind of feel like we kicking it back old school, throwback to August 2021?
Yeah, a little bit. It feels like this is what we're gonna get every now and then until next summer probably, because I don't expect anything to be public on January one way or another. Even if Mbappe signs for Real Madrid, I don't expect it to be public in January. And if he intends to stay in Paris and ends up agreeing to a potential extension, I don't expect it to be official very soon either. So it seems like this is the way we're gonna go until next summer.
Yeah, and of course, it wasn't just Mbappe's mother. It was Florentino Perez. It was Mbappe himself. It was Leonardo. And it's just the drama that generally exists with dealing with PSG, making a mole into a mountain and making it probably more dramatic than it needs to be. And Florentino coming out and saying, look, like maybe my words were misinterpreted. All I was saying that is by January we'll at least know something. We'll be able to revisit the situation. So, and of course Benzema was talking too, right? Varane said some stuff too,
Yeah.
But I think PSG couldn't attack Varane because he's no longer our player.
Right.
So, do you think it's maybe helpful actually, Lucas, before we dive into questions, to bring everyone up to speed on the timeline and what was said and what wasn't said? Maybe starting with what it started with Benzema, right?
Yeah, Benzema pretty much insisted on what he's been saying for the last couple of months, explaining that Mbappe will play for Real Madrid one day or another, and that it's just a matter of time, while adding also that he doesn't know when it will happen, but he knows it will happen definitely. So this is pretty much just another update and just another quote on insisting on what Benzema has said for the last few months. Benzema, I didn't see anything new from Benzema in these quotes, other than, obviously this is the first time he said this after the transfer window closed. So this is pretty much him insisting on what he said for the last 3 or 4 months, time and time again.
So, and then Florentino speaks to the press. Right. He says,
well,
go ahead.
Yeah. You just go ahead and read his quotes, and then I'll offer my perspective. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And at some point, if I get any of this timing wrong, because maybe I'll mix up some of the chronological pieces. But so just correct me if I'm wrong. But so then Florentino comes in an interview with El Debate, and he says, in January, we'll have news about Mbappe, and then we'll be able to kind of visit the situation. And then later that day, he says, and I quote, "My words were misinterpreted. What I said is that we have to wait until next year to find out, always with respect to PSG, with whom we have good relations." And then he said some other stuff about finances and stadium, but that's not relevant to the discussion. So I'll stop there because I feel like you have something to say about that.
Correct. I never gave a lot of credibility and to those alleged quotes by Florentino on El Debate. This is a new website, a new newspaper, if you will, even though I don't think it'll be printed in Spain. So it's not like this is the most reputed source in Spanish journalism. In fact, I hadn't heard about the El Debate at all until these quotes were bouncing from outlet to outlet during I think it was Tuesday or Monday, whatever. But I never. That's pretty much why I always, at all times I raised my eyebrow a little bit and said, "Whoa, where this is coming from?" Because obviously Florentino doesn't speak publicly about these matters at all. So I never gave a lot of credibility to these potential or alleged quotes from Florentino on El Debate, and while Florentino never said they were a lie or they were fabricated or whatever, and he just said that they were misinterpreted. I just knew that some kind of denial was going to come from Florentino's side, because I always was a little bit skeptical about this report from El Debate.
I feel like what you're saying now is an important thing, not only for this moment and for this quote, but just for everyone in general to understand how to read things when they read things online, and myself included. I think the thing with quotes are that sometimes you really have to watch the person saying the words to see what they're saying, and listen to the whole thing, the tone, the pitch, the context, everything. So even if this quote was true, like if you, the quote, and again, he didn't say come out and refute it, but there is a way you can say that exact same thing and twist it a certain way. So if he's saying, in January we will have news about Mbappe, a lot of people felt that was like in January we'll have Mbappe. Like a lot of people, I saw the dialogue, I saw the discourse. I like, okay, finally, like Florentino's putting this to bed, easing our minds. But he can ease, like if he's sitting in a room and he's talking just casually and he says, in January we'll have some news, we'll know more, we'll be able to contact his camp, we'll be able to open negotiations with them. That is a totally different message than a headline saying in January we'll have news about Mbappe. So I think that's an important thing to bring up, just not only for this, but in general. So he clarifies those comments. He says some stuff. And then kind of like two things happen at the same time. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm getting these timings wrong. So Mbappe's interview with RMC, some of it is, not the whole thing, but some of it is publicized, like some of the quotes. And Leonardo around the same time is doing his interview, where he's, obviously they know about this interview is coming now, so they feel like they need to say some stuff. And Leonardo, I feel like, overreacted, made it a big deal, bigger deal than it should have been. I know, but it doesn't, they have to do their thing. They want to do their thing. I don't think any of it is helping the Mbappe situation. I feel like there's like, PSG have money, so like they feel like money talks and they can say whatever they want, right? Because they can be like, well, we don't have to worry about damage control and public relations and PR because we can just throw money at everyone. But then if somebody comes along like Mbappe who doesn't care about that stuff and can just be like, no, it's okay, I'll accept less money and go here, then their PR tactics really have to change. Because really, if money wasn't an issue here, this is like the primal blueprint of like how not to piss off a superstar. It's exactly the opposite of what PSG are doing. Everything they've said, whether it's keeping him hostage, basically, they haven't said that, but they basically said we're not going to lose him for free. He's not going anywhere. We're not selling. He's going to be a PSG player. All that stuff is just going to piss him off even further. So I don't know why maybe they don't realize, or maybe they feel it's a lost cause. They're just adding fuel to the fire instead of de-escalating the situation. So the Leonardo quotes came out around the same time that we found out that Mbappe was doing that RMC Sport interview. And then obviously the full interview came out yesterday. And Mbappe's mother said some stuff which we'll get to. Do you feel like that's an accurate reflection?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's about right. The timeline definitely fits what you said. Yeah.
Okay. And anything we miss, it just means we're going to talk about it anyway. So some of the quotes and stuff. So.
Well, about Florentino and El Debate, I read the report when it came out, and to me they treated Florentino's quotes as an off the record thing. They never said Florentino was here in an interview. He sat down and said this and answered a few more questions and all that. He just said, the report basically just said that Florentino visited our offices and our new offices. And when we asked him about Mbappe, he said the following quote, end of quote, which is pretty much off the record. That report was always a little bit suspicious in my view, and that's why. Ultimately, I expected a little bit of a stronger refutation from Florentino because at all times that those quotes are definitely not Florentino's style of doing things now that the transfer window is over and that we're currently in the middle of the season. I mean, I could see that happening maybe in May or in June if PSG are out of the Champions League, for example, and they have already won the Ligue 1 or whatever. But right now, it was definitely something that didn't make a lot of sense in my book.
Well, let's see if El Debate gets any further Florentino interviews. And
yeah,
they could have lost trust. So our first patron question. This about to come in fully loaded, heavy question here, so buckle up. Tahmid Kalam says, I avoid Mbappe related questions, but I wanted to